Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new series called Wish List Wednesdays. Say that 10 times fast, I bet you can't, it's impossible. What are we gonna do on Wish List Wednesday? It's pretty simple. I'm talking about things, anime figures that I have on my wish list that are either figures that I want to buy that are already out. We have pre-orders that I pre-ordered or maybe I haven't yet, but maybe eventually will once they come out. And then hopefully, if you guys leave comments down below of figures that you like, you wish I would review, or figures that also maybe you want, then I'll review those and give you credit, and we can talk about them on the channel as well. So that's kind of what we're doing here. Today I'm going to hit you with two figures. One's a pre-order that's coming out in August. August. And then the other one is a figure that has been out for a long time. It's actually had a re-release, and I've thought about getting it for a very long time, but the price tag is really up there, and that's basically the reason I haven't gotten it. So let's check these out. They're both from Fate Grand Order, which is a mobile game. If you haven't played it, it's a good time. It's gacha. Gamble responsibly, please. And let's go ahead and get to. Okay, so as we're talking about this, we're going to follow along on the computer. So the first one I'm going to be talking about, again, from Fate Grand Order, Pretender Lady Avalon Merlin 1/7 scale pre-order figure. Fantastic. Now, I think one thing when we're looking at this figure in general, a lot of people have an idea that maybe this figure doesn't have enough definition. It's very whitewashed. It doesn't stand out in any real way, shape, or form. On the accents, it's all white. It's kind of bland, is what I've heard people say. Looking at these colors with the background, I feel like they don't really do the character justice. But what I can say is that I think the actual detail in where they put stuff, I wish this could zoom, but the actual detail in what they put, I'll take a screenshot here and we'll zoom in on that. But the actual detail there is really, really nice, and what they have in the lattice work and in the actual coloring underneath the umbrella and in her bikini top. And I just think that maybe there's a nuance here that we should look at, right? Not every figure needs to be the loudest and boldest figure in your collection. I get maybe you want to have a figure that has standout details here and there, but I also think there's a nuance to a figure like this where you can look at it and say the subtleties and the quietness really bring out an expressive characteristic in this figure that otherwise wouldn't be there. And I think that this is a prime example of that, because when I look at these pictures of the umbrella and of her bikini, like the lace work and the drawing that they do in there, and like that subtle, really clean line work in the paint job, right? All that really stands out when you look at it. So a figure like this makes you pause and actually breathe with the figure to make an informed decision. And I get that maybe that's not everyone's cup of tea, right? Especially if you're used to louder or cuter, more kawaii figures, then yeah, you're gonna want a figure that maybe pops more and is bigger and more expressive. But I think in something like this, the nuances of this figure are what is really attentive, right? When you're looking through your shelf, you're gonna have to pause if you want to enjoy this figure. It makes you slow down. It demands your respect. And I think that's something that a figure can really do. And especially if it's done well, right? It's not demanding your respect because it's done poorly. The lattice work, the figure, her face, all of these things are done really, really well. So I think in those terms, it gives you a lot to look at and to visualize, but you start to have to slow down because it's not so bold and in your face as some other figures are. And I think that's a really important thing to try and capture and talk about in a figure, right? That's just a different approach to the game than maybe some people like. But I have a couple that we're going to have videos of coming out soon. A couple of them actually have this kind of approach where when you see it, you have to slow down to enjoy the figure. And I think that that's really important to have in your collection, especially if you're displaying these as like artistic pieces, right? You need those moments of break, of silence in the figure collection, so that you're not just everything's not so loud and pungent in your face, right? And I think in a figure like this, if everything is really loud and you actually put this figure in there, then it's actually the one that stands out more than everything else. And I will say, I don't know why they chose this like marbled pink in the background. I think this is absolutely trash. It's such a bad color to try and make her stand out in general. So I feel like that's part of it. This is a figure I've really considered pre-ordering, but because we're so close to August, at the time of recording this, it's only a couple months away. I think I'm going to actually wait on it and see if what other people say in other photos. And maybe it's when I get further down the line, but at the moment, I think this is not a figure I'm going to pre-order from my collection. It's one I think I would enjoy. It's one I think I would have on display quite a bit, but I just think because we're so close to August, let's give it a wait and see what happens. I actually want to check and see who the actual maker of this is. I haven't actually looked. Okay, Aniplex. Okay. Yeah, they do a great job. So I'm really not scared for what they're going to do. And it's 28,500 yen. That's not bad. I think that's a fairly decent price for how, if it is actually this detailed in a couple different things, in the umbrella, in her bikini, for instance, in her face. I really do think that that might be worth the price. But we will see. Like I said, I'm not, I really like the hair. And, you know, the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm enjoying this figure. But, you know, again, those subtle details that you start to skip in her bracelet, the way her fingers are, you know, like I said, this, you know, belt, embroidery, I don't know, it's a swimsuit, so what's this doing here? But, you know, the top coming around her neck, I think there's a lot of missed opportunity to enjoy this figure. And I think there's a way that we, as a viewer, can enjoy this figure and not just write it off because it's not loud and stand out. So that's all I got to say for this one. Like I said, if you have pre-ordered this figure, let me know in the comments below what you are really expecting out of it. Because I'm genuinely curious, because I've seen a lot of negative backlash and not a lot of positive. But I do think that this figure has a lot of potential. So if you've pre-ordered it, let me know what you look forward to the most in this figure. And while you're leaving that comment, don't forget to subscribe. So let's go ahead, jump over to our next figure. This one has been out for a very long time, and it is the Jeanne d'Arc complete figure. It's the re-release set, and I've wanted this figure for a very long time, but the price tag is so high. This is actually one of the lowest I've seen it, $210 basically USD, 32,900 yen. Ami currently has orders closed, but that's okay. But as we flip through these, like, every time I see this figure, it takes all of my might not to buy this figure because it's so cool. I love her facial expression, like the wicked smile that she has. And if you played Fate, then you know for a fact that like this figure, her face is like spot on. But I also love all the small little details that they've included in the sword, in her like dress, and her broidery, the leggings with the metal. Like, man. Plus, I mean, this whole background with the giant flag and the of the and the pole. Like, this pole arm with the flag is awesome, and the purples with the red, like, great color combination, being analogous, making this stand out. And the metallic look across the board with the flags, you know, also flipping in the wind, and that shading, like, now there is something to be said that if I buy this figure, and I've thought about this many times, will it fit my shelf? Is it going to be too long, too big? So maybe it ends up next to my other Saber because she's too big to fit in the shelf. But, you know, I've always thought that. But man, is it just such a cool figure. I mean, gosh, just the pink on the sword, just poking through just a little bit, the accent, right? Her hair flowing, like, ooh. And then, like I said, all this fine detail work on the gauntlets and her helmet and the necklace and the chain. Like, it's so done well. And there's a reason that this figure is loved, right? And I think that for me, it's one I will eventually buy when I have the money. And I'm super excited for when I do, because I know I'm going to enjoy it. Because every time I see it, I want it. So that's really kind of what I got to say about this one. Again, like, God, the hair, man. The hair. And this, yeah, I mean, the facial expression, too, is just killer. Stunning. And, yeah, I mean, the base is cool. It's, you know, a really dope dragon slaying base. You know, that's what she's doing in the game. And like I said, the re-release fixed some of the problems with the polearm that the original had. And so definitely go with the re-release if you're thinking about buying this figure. And again, if you're interested in it, if you have this figure, let me know, because what your favorite part is, obviously. But let me know, because I'm dying to get my hands on this figure eventually. And I think the more I hype it up, the better it'll be. You know, this figure for me, it's not a holy grail figure, but it's one that I've pondered buying for a very long time. And I think with that, in terms of what it can do for my figure shelf, what I enjoy is there. And let's see, this one, yeah. So, yeah, you know, I like this figure a lot. I think it's really a cool figure. And I honestly just really want to bring it home one day. So let me know in the comments if you have either pre-ordered the Merlin figure or if you own this Jeanne d'Arc, because I'm genuinely curious on both, why you did it. As I said, I am waiting on both because finance, basically, but I think I'm waiting on the Merlin a little bit more just to see what actually comes of the figure and if it actually has all the detail in a good way. And then the Jeanne d'Arc one is just because, you know, eventually I'll get it, and I'm excited to when I will, but the opportunity just hasn't arose. So while we're waiting, you can check out this video. But other than that, you're cool.